It is time for the administration update with Christopher Mitchell and Jason E. Walls.
Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, wherever you're watching this, or whenever you're watching this. Welcome to another Good Day Sun Lakes presentation of the administration update for March 2024. I'm joined by Chief Raider fan here at Sun Lakes, Jason E. Walls. I'm Christopher Mitchell, your Cleveland Browns suffering host once again, and we're going to go through some items that happened in March. Jason, welcome. Thank you for attending with. We've got a lot of stuff happening in 2024 already.
Yes, we do.
Some good, some bad. But what I'm going to do is I want to give an operational review for 2023. Now, you can find a bulk of this information in the management report that I did for the month of December. A little overview of 2023. There's a lot of emails. There's a lot of Facebook, rumors out there. And so I kind of wanted to go through some items with you. Again, this full report for the management report for December is online. You can see that. We also have some hard copies in the library, at the recreation, in main clubhouse, and also in the administration office. So first, operational review for 2023. Again, a little bit of, also I'm going to take a little time to educate, I hope, on some of the financial aspects for the community. The association has three main function groups. That's the administration, that's golf course operations, and then food and beverage operations. Think about it as a three-legged stool. That's what supports the association, those three main entities. And we report that in the monthly financials by that group as well, so you can see the performance, the financial performance of those main function groups. Year to date, administration, this is through the end of December 2023. Year to date, administration and golf course operations came in below budget by $640,881. Now, unfortunately, and you've heard this in open sessions, and I've talked about it here with the administration update, food and beverage operations came in over budget by $374,678. Although food and beverage were largely over budget, overall, again, looking at the whole stool, those three legs of the stool of the function groups, overall the association came in under budget by $267,427. Now that's prior to the audit. A key thing you must remember, members, and you hear a lot, there's losses, there's each of these groups, these amenities have a budget. That is how much is subsidized through your assessments to that. And so the budget is the target we try to meet on each of these groups. Now, to manage it, if one area is over, we will look to reduce sections in other to offset that loss. A lot of people don't talk about that. It kind of frustrates me. You kind of need to look at the whole picture. Why not just pick on the part that's not working? And that seems to be the case often online. But I'm telling you, from a financial perspective, you need to look at the whole picture. So how did the association arrive at the under budget for the year $267,427? To do this, the administration and golf course department leaders had to reduce their planned spending for 2023. That's Mark Schleiden in operations. That's Mark Birchfield. That is Brian Garlington. That's Etanisa. That is Jason and myself in admin, having to reduce our planned expenditures to absorb the loss in the food and beverage operations. Now, Mr. Birchfield was graciously provided through a heavenly source, a lot of rain in 2023. That helped his budget with water. Also, delays in hiring, replacement staff caused delays. Now, what's a good part is I saved money, Jason saved money, Recreation saved money by delays in hiring staff. The problem is that affected customer service because there was not ample staff to handle all of the members' needs. So there's two sides of the coin, so to speak. Great to save money, come in under budget, but it hurts the customer service response. And it also puts pressure on staff, the existing staff, to take on that extra load. And we've seen that in 2023, a lot of pressure in the food and beverage staff, on the front desk of the customer service, Recreation, Felicia, and everyone. So we ask that members, again, be patient during these times, but it is a challenge right now to balance this budget to absorb this food and beverage loss. Now, looking into 2024, excuse me, First Service did work with the board of directors to develop an operational plan for food and beverage. The prior operational plan, ladies and gentlemen, was customer service. For 20 plus years, and you've heard me say this on administration updates, 20 plus years, food and beverage has been the nut that Sun Lakes has not been able to crack. We've tried different things. Boards have called in outside resources, vendors, consultants to review. And it's always fallen back of, we want to just have customer service. Now, excuse me, I'm going to be talking a lot, so Jay, I'm already going to have to get some coffee quick here. But one of the things is that this last board of the last couple of years have looked of how do we stop repeating the past and look toward the future. And that's one way is to develop a business plan. Analyze what's happening on the outside, your competition, what are costs, what are some of the opportunities that are out there, and what are the threats and obstacles that we're facing. Now, in 2024, food and beverage is really going to have to work hard on their cost of labor. You've heard me during the budget season and other times. April 2024 is going to be a little difficult in that California is raising fast food wages to $20 an hour. That to you, member, even if you're outside Sun Lakes, is going to affect you when you go to McDonald's, when you go to Taco Bell, what have you. You're going to pay a little bit more because those companies have to pay their staff a minimum wage of $20. That trickles down to Sun Lakes. How does Sun Lakes respond to that increased labor competition or that labor pricing that is out in the local economy? That's going to be the challenge. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to be looking at that. That is a concern I've brought up. Jason's brought up to the board during the budget season. And this is going to be another threat on the horizon that food and beverage is going to have to deal with.
Right. Chris, I even heard this morning that they're looking at variable pricing to where lunchtime it may be one price, dinner time it's going to be another price.
Yes.
So they're looking at that as well, especially for the fast food industry as they increase those wages.
You know what? And yesterday I saw that on CNBC. I do watch CNBC. Go to your Wendy's pretty soon. Mm-hmm. Your Wendy's will have surge pricing.
Right.
I want my chicken nuggets and my chili during lunchtime. You'll pay $1 more.
Yep.
Off times after 2, it will be less. You're exactly right. You'll see this, members. And so this is not a conspiracy of First Service of the board to raise prices. The United States, and specifically California, with their planned pay increase in April, is going to affect costs of different things, costs of products. You'll see that. And so as a warning, this is what we're facing. This may affect what we see on our menu when we're buying stuff at the restaurant. When you're scheduling banquets and everything, those costs are going to go up. So food and beverage will be the key area in 2024 that we're looking at, and we're currently going under a reorganization to address a lot of the concerns and address the items that Sun Lakes has not been able to solve for the past 20 years. Now, let's get on to some other hot topic areas, which is called the Repair and Replacement Fund, the Capital Improvement Fund. So the association has 2 reserve funds. The Repair and Replacement Fund is the fund that's used to replace everything. Replace the chair, it's replace existing items. The table, the floor, the AC unit, the dehumidifier that we just did in the South Clubhouse. The Repair and Replacement Fund is made for that. Your assessments go into that monthly and help build that fund. It's invested, and we also get interest off of that. Now, capital improvement, on the other hand, is different. It is made for items that are new. If we wanted a dog park, if we wanted to put a new basketball court, something that is not in existence here at Sun Lakes at this time, or is a large change to something that's in existence, like the drought tolerant was.
Correct.
Those are capital improvement. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that capital improvement fund has been here for several years, and it's kind of languishing. It's just money that's sitting there to be spent. So the boards of the past tried to do drought tolerant. The community denied that, and that's fine. That's the decision of the community. But those funds were meant to be spent, and that whole capital improvement fund is meant to get zero. It's not money that you keep in the mattress for a rainy day. It is meant for the purpose of funding new items. So there's a lot of people that have been concerned the fund's going to go to zero. It is meant to go to zero. And then if there's something in the future that boards and the community feel need to be improved upon, they'll start funding the capital improvement fund again. So there's some misstatements out there in the community that it can't go to zero. Again, capital improvement fund can go to zero. And right now the lounge expansion project is one of the areas that are targeting the use of this capital improvement fund. Now, in 2023, the largest expenditures from the repair and replacement, again, existing items that we're either fixing, repairing, or replacing. The largest ones were the renovation to the fairway bunkers on the championship golf course, the dehumidifier that we just talked about. We had to purchase it last year in 2023. It's finally getting done here in 2024. Tree maintenance, removal of trees on the golf course and in the common area. Concrete work, the sidewalks, repairs to existing roofing, electrical, plumbing, AC, painting. All were major projects in 2023. Now for capital improvement, the Sandwich Bar and Grill renovation. And, I'm hearing there's comments coming out, there's an election season going on. And there's comments of, well, this costs this and the whole thing costs this. Please remember, as a project, the Sandwich Project Bar and Grill renovation related to the bar and those items. A different item was the roof. That was a different project. You can actually have several projects under a capital improvement. You can have several projects under a facility. And that is the board's prerogative to do. And it's also a staff updates. We need to address the Sandwich roof because it's leaks, and we need to do a change from those glass domes to a solid roof. That was a project unto itself. But we have some people trying to say all of that is the Sandwich project, and that's not true. Again, misstatements out there in the community. Next, we also had the lounge expansion plans. Those are capital improvement funds. That's the planning process for the project. Again, that is needed, and any other plans that were done for improvements that the board may never do. Right. And there's talk about the fire pit at one time out. That's on hold. And then lastly, we did have a key thing, Jay. This really bothers me. The AV equipment that we replaced in the Sandwich is part of the Sandwich project. Wrong. That project was already green-lighted before the Sandwich project because if you actually visit the Sandwich and you are a connoisseur of good music, you'll notice when you go to the Sandwich and hear the bands, the music was kind of, in and out. We'd had problems with it. We had problems when the delegate assembly would have their meals and we're trying to use a microphone and the sound would go in and out. That was already green-lighted before the Sandwich bar project. But again, misconception, they lumped in with everything. So the combined repair, replacement, capital improvement expenditures for 2023 was about $2.25 million. Repair and replacement items were deferred in future years. For example, golf-related projects, irrigation, and bunker work. That is being deferred to 2025. Now's your moment to take a sip, or your libations if you have it. Lastly, let's talk about investments, ladies and gentlemen. Combined repair and replacement and capital improvement. Interest received was $224,000 roughly. The combined interest for 2022 was $72,119. Now, these items do not include the discount amount. That is the purchase price of a government entity versus the face value. That's the discount. Face value being a little higher, $1,000. I buy it at $900. There's a discount that is included in that yield. That is so when that matures, I'm getting $1,000 for my $900 investment. People don't realize that. People maybe don't even want to hear that. The association still has some remaining investments purchased prior to 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you remember, I had investments as well. 2019, 2020, and 2021 were low interest yield years. We had the pandemic. You weren't earning a lot on your CDs. You weren't earning a lot on your money market accounts. Fast forward to 2022, rate increases that the Fed is doing, interest rates are going up. Now, Sun Lakes had investments that were sitting there at a low interest yield. Sun Lakes has to sell those, if they choose to, those treasuries, those CDs, on the open market. I can't go down to my local credit union or bank and say, I'll take 3 months of penalty, I'm withdrawing the funds. Sun Lakes is different. We have a large investment portfolio with Morgan Stanley. We would have to go on the open market to sell that. Now, the number one issue with our investment policy is preservation of capital. So the board at that time in the past and the current board listened to the advisors at Morgan Stanley when they said, don't sell those investments because the loss incurred, that is the loss, I bought it at this and I sell it at a low loss, will not be recovered by the potential interest earnings in 2022. Let me reiterate that. We would lose in selling those investments and I wouldn't recover that money through a higher interest rate. So the board has kept those investments. They follow that advice. I agree with that advice. We don't want to be, you might remember, what was it, Silicon Valley Bank. Similar situation. They had investments 2019, 2020, 2021, low interest yield, but they had to lend out and they needed cash. They had to liquidate those investments at a loss, and that was one of the major reasons why that bank went under. Sun Lakes was in a different position. Sun Lakes did not need to sell it. It could weather that storm and follow the advice from Morgan Stanley and reinvest those funds at a higher rate once they matured. So again, you hear a lot of people going out there, you should do this, you should do that. Again, Monday morning quarterbacking. You have to be there at the time, look at the whole picture. There are things going on in the world that you just can't simply say, well, it should be able to do it this way. It can't happen. Interest is expected to increase in 2024 as we have been able to move our monies into a higher interest yielding government, either a government obligation or a treasury or a CD. Now, again, the board follows the advice from Morgan Stanley. They are, they're professionals. They do this for a living, I think. They're not off the street or anything. So they have advised, if the association can, purchase investments that are mature 4 to 5 years out to have that long that interest yield over a longer period of time. They do not recommend 30-day, 1-day, 7-day, 6-month, 1-year investments. They feel, and the board agreed with them, to invest at a longer period of time to get that higher yield for a longer period of time. Again, the board has the responsibility to listen to their financial advisors and make a decision that's best for the corporation. And following their advice will help the corporation long term. Now, the last thing is there's been a lot of chatter, Facebook, what have you. The board at this last for financials that went out for January, they included the full pack of bank statements, the full pack of bank reconciliations. Now, why did they do this? Because right now there's a lot of chatter out there and a lot of misinformation, and the board feels, as I agree with, you, the individual, look at it yourself and make your own decision. Don't be influenced by misinformation or fake news, what have you. Look at the information for yourself. And that's why that was included and will continue to be included. So Jason, that is a long list of items dealing with activities, our investments. So now we're fast forward. That was 2023. That's my review on that. What's happening right now for March? on projects.
Well, Chris, to give you a breather, I'll go ahead and
Thank you. I can get some more
and
coffee
talk
now.
a little bit. We again, just like you said, a lot of projects. We always, every year, it seems like there's a new project or something else going on. This year, the big project is the lounge expansion. That's the biggest one in front of the board. However, like you said, we have completed some already.
Yes.
Even though the dehumidifier down at the south was purchased last year, it was finally delivered and installed this year. So that ended. That was installed there about second week of February. We were able to get that up and running. It's running great now. But that South Elk Clubhouse pool is looking forward to some major renovations here coming up in May. So what the board did is they kind of flip-flopped at the end of last year. And as soon as the outdoor pools closed, they said, you know what, let's change it. Instead of tackling that indoor pool, let's hold off of that until the summer, till we can get those outside pools back open, and let's hit the outside pools. So the north pool has been replastered as well as the spa, and both the main clubhouse and the north clubhouse decks have been redone and patched up where they needed to be touched up. So with that, all we're doing now is we're waiting until that May 1st date. We're actually going to probably start down there and close that pool down May 6th and start all the work. The work that's going to go down there is quite extensive. It's going to probably be about a 2.5 month closure. And reason for that is we're looking at a lot of upgrades. You're going to have a replastered pool and spa. Your deck is going to be completely redone. No more are we going to go with this painted concrete that's down there. So hard to clean, so hard to maintain. What we're going to do is we're actually putting a pool tile. So a tile that's meant to go around a pool deck, an indoor pool deck. It's going to look real nice. Good. So it's an aggressive tile.
It's about time.
Yes. And you know what? The lifespan on it is a lot longer. Maintenance on it is a lot less. Not to mention, it's going to really update it into the new era, I would say. Bring it into the 21st century. It's going to look real nice as long as it's going to be accompanied by a new paint job. So the entire room down there is going to get a new paint job. You're going to be a whole new facility when that place opens back up.
Very nice.
Looking at getting a chairlift that's actually connected to the side of the pool, so the homeowner or the resident doesn't have to call down and say, I would like to get the chairlift, wait for somebody to come down there, move it over, set it up for them. This here, real simple to use, uses water as a hydraulic. Simple, you're just sitting there, turn the lever, drops down, pull the lever back, raises you back up.
Nice.
So real user friendly. So looking forward to have that. I know that'll help a lot of the residents down there. Because that indoor pool, we understand. We understand, and the board did as well, and hence why moving it around. A lot of you residents out there use it as a therapy, and we totally get that. It's a beautiful, nicely kept at 86 degrees, which is perfect for a therapy pool. But we didn't want you to be out. We want to make things easy for you. So really looking forward to getting that project done.
Indeed.
Again, the lounge expansion, like I said, that's the biggest project in front of the board this year. The RFPs did go out. They were received, and now it's in front of the Procurement Advisory Committee to review. Should take a couple weeks on that review. They'll give their recommendation to the board, and then the board can move forward with decisions there.
That's right.
So that's kind of the big projects, Chris. We always have the little ones come up here, a little paint here, a little touch up there. I know that we'll be looking at restrapping some of the equipment or some of the chairs out by the pools.
Yes.
So little things like that. But again, the north clubhouse pool, south clubhouse pool, as well as the lounge expansion are the big ones for 2024.
Good deal.
One thing that did get done, I guess another project, it took 2 years to do,
Yes.
was the rules and regulations. About January of last year, a rendition was put out. There were a couple comments that came from that rendition, went back to the Ad Hoc Rules and Regulations Committee. They worked on it again, redid it all, sent it back to legal. Legal put their 2 cents in, got it out in front of the community in November, December, and the board approved it in January. Right now, you can currently find the redlined version on the website. We're going to keep that up there for a little while so that when residents do see, they go on there and they can see what changes were made. We are also finishing up the clean version. So it takes some time to go through all the redlining, all the crossing out, changing it up, getting it to a fresh version, as well as a table of contents. There's been a lot added, been a lot taken away, so it really fluctuated the page numbers.
Yes.
So just working on that. Look to see that out on the website soon, as well as hard copies at the main clubhouse lobby, as well as the admin office. But again, I will keep the red line version up on the website so homeowners can see what has changed.
Perfect.
With that, one thing I will mention, just because our community is so active on Friday and Saturday nights, there were some rules put in for the lounge. And what this has to do with is saving tables, moving tables and chairs, putting them together, sitting there and just kind of babysitting a table per se. So what rules have been added were, one really big one was no saving of tables. You know, your whole party, I can't go in and save 3 tables, push them together and say, oh, I'm waiting for my whole party to arrive. You know, what we have to look at is we got to look at that turnover and that revenue coming in. And if we have one person sitting at a table for 10 and they're not ordering, we're losing business, because you know what? Somebody else is looking and coming in there and saying, oh, I guess there's no place to sit, and they leave.
Yes.
So that was one rule that did change. I appreciate a lot of you residents out there. The word that I've gotten back so far is that, you know what? They're picking up the signs, looking at them, and whether they like it or not, they're obeying by them so far. So I'm really happy to hear that. I hope we can continue that. Again, you guys, this is just for your enjoyment. We want to try to make it fair for all residents to come and enjoy the facilities and the music that we have. So again, no saving tables or pulling tables together. This is also, like I said, when you're sitting at a table, you can't just be sitting there holding the table. Order a drink. Order something. You know, order an appetizer.
Right.
Something to wait off until your group does arrive. Yep. Once again, also, if you do need some more chairs or tables pulled together for a larger group, you know, instead of doing it, ask a server, ask someone, a staff there, ask a monitor that you see coming by. They'll be more than happy to help you out with that. And also, just so you know, when we do go back onto the veranda, one of the rules that was put in, and this has to do with issues that we've had, is plasticware will be served on the veranda. Yep. Unfortunately, you guys, the liability of having the glass out there, what it's shown us, we get breaks out there all the time, and I would hate for a homeowner to cut themselves, hurt themselves, or something worse.
That's right.
So plasticware will be used. And again, this doesn't just come from us. This came from the Ad Hoc Rules and Regulations Committee that put this together.
That's it.
So those, again, are the big rule that was and I think really affects a lot of homeowners. But again, please check out the red line version on the website right now. That's there. It's under the governing documents. You don't even have to log into the website to see it. It is also public facing, so you can look and see that there. Okay. With that, Chris, I'm talking about the lounge and the veranda, some rules that are changing. I know there's a lot going on F&B, so I'll go ahead and hand it back over to you.
This time, Jay, we're not having to do the bartending like we did in 2021. Straightforward. If you know me, you're gonna know that I'm a straight shooter. And in food and beverage, we were just talking about food and beverage in the month of December. Had probably one of the worst December performances financially that has ever happened here at Sun Lakes. And the revenues fell short, while the cost of labor, the cost of food remained high. Jason, myself, sat down with Chef Chris doing a post-op or whatever review of what happened. And, you know, with the reduction in staff that we've had leading up to December, there was a lot of overtime that was paid out, in some cases double time, because there was multiple events. And there were a lot of events, and members really seemed to like those events, which is great. From the service side, it seemed to go very well, but it didn't reflect in the sales. And again, sitting down with Chef Chris in that process of the association didn't meet its 30% cost target. What that is the goal of food and beverage set down by the board is that a plate that you order those items, I have to sell it at a 30% 30% cost of goods sold. That means of that dollar that's earned, 30% has to cover the food and everything, for example, 30 cents. That 30% is the standard that we've used in the industry. It's been different in the past. It's been up to 40%, 45%. If you've watched the financials of food and beverage for this year, you saw in some cases it was 60%. And that really was not pivoting fast enough while costs were rising, changing the prices of our food, changing the prices of liquor. And in December, it really got hit on some of these events that the pricing just wasn't in line with that 30%. So again, we had to follow up with the food and beverage team on that. That was part of the contribute why there was a $100,000 roughly loss in the month of December that contributed to that over budget of $374,000 that occurred in 2023. So right now, food and beverage is under a reorganization. We are reviewing everything. We are recruiting for a new food and beverage director. And going forward, food and beverage really will need to be tight with labor. and evaluate the costs and be proactive and pivot to change prices as the cost of those prices, the input costs, increase. A full review of the banquet pricing began in January, and labor planning for regular service and events will need to be reassessed. So what we use is the historical information we have from our systems. We look at what the sales are on a typical Tuesday, Wednesday, etc., and staff. And what will happen is there'll be tighter staff. So you may not see as many staff members on the floor. Those staff members will have to take on some more responsibility, more tables in essence, and to meet that the sales level. No longer, and I think you alluded to earlier, that's an area where customer service was emphasized, and that will continue to be one of the main goals of food and beverage. But we have to place our staff in a position that is successful for revenue generation, and that's your Wednesdays, your Friday, your Saturday nights. And on the events, they have to be priced accordingly and appropriately. So, as we talked, I said earlier, you're going to see in April as cost increases are occurring in California. There are going to be some cost increase on the menu, on the banquet menu. And I know a lot of members are going to be upset. They're going to say, Chef, can you do anything to help reduce that cost? And unfortunately, we won't be able to. In some cases, if you reduce items or the type of item, we can bring the cost down. But unfortunately, this is the direction we're receiving, and First Service is going to follow that direction to adhere to the budget. The budget plan now we're into 2024. The budget that was finalized and approved in October 2023, that was built during the months of June to September 2023, had the expectation that we were going to do the lounge expansion beginning January 1st. Well, it's now the March update for administration update, and it has not started. But the budget was built January, February, March, built on the assumption that that lounge project would be going. So revenues, expenses were less. Right now, we're still operating on the same model. So you're going to see in the January financials, there's going to be variances because the budget was built on a closure and renovation. We're not, and in actuality, we're not closed. We're still open in these segments of the lounge. Now we will be tweaking the hours. We talked about the hours in the sandwich, the elimination of breakfast. We'll be looking at changing some hours on Sundays. Again, as we evaluate the information and we see the sales data, we're going to make changes to possibly reduce hours or increase some hours in some areas. Now, the new menu, we're looking at March 5th, starting that. That gives time to the Restaurant Lounge Committee input, board input, and then, of course, we have to work in the backside to the point of sale system to input all that information. So March 5th is what we're looking at, and operating hours will be updated toward the end of February as we prepare for that new, actually it's going to be early March that we look to update the hours.
Hey, Chris, I just want to go into that, talking about a new menu coming out, and one thing that we've heard is consistency.
Yes.
And please know that we hear it. We are in the mix of working on and improving that. Mm-hmm. I know Chris and I both have sat down with Chef, and he is well aware, and he's putting in some procedures that will help with the consistency of what's coming out of the kitchen. With that as well, we've also heard soda. Why is the soda flat? Why doesn't it taste? Well, moving over to Coke, one thing they did not inform us was the way that the CO2 had to be cooled coming through the system. We talked to them, figured out why it was tasting the way it was, and they said, well, you need to do this here. We're implementing that, right. So please look. The soda should be a lot better coming out right now. So,
and those are some of the key things under this reorganization that we're doing. That Jason, myself, we have been already for this past year lending a hand over there, and we've had to during this reorganization look at things that go down to the process level. And again, as Jason talked with Chef Chris, here's what the plate should be. If I go in at 11 o'clock, the plate should look at this, like this, and when it comes out. And if I go on a Tuesday, it will look the same as a Friday. That consistency is a big thing. Again, Jason and I have heard that. Message to management, we've heard that. And that's an item that we need to get better at. And so Chef Chris and his team, that's his area. The back of the house, That will be his focus. There will not be interference of telling a cook to do it this way. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, we only have one exec chef. That's Chef Chris. The rest are cooks. But it's on Chef Chris to work with his team directly on setting the expectation and the follow-up. Not interference from outside committees or other parts of the operation. That's one change that we've done. Also on the front, Erlinda and Letty are stepping up as managers on duty to assist the front of the house to see what's going on the floor. Is there things we can do better? Is the POS system, because we do have a POS system, though it's a little archaic, what can be done to address the server's needs and in the lounge? And so those are going on as we speak.
And that's why I mentioned POS system being archaic. And that's even archaic with the upgrade compared to what's out there.
Right.
Just so you know, we did upgrade. We are using the, what we did upgrade to, which is why we have the app, which is why you're able to pay your bill online if you like. But again, the system that we are using, even as upgraded as it is from what we had, is still archaic for what's out there and what the standard is for the POS systems.
Correct. Lastly, the food and beverage team is preparing for upcoming events. St. Patrick's Day and Easter. Easter is in the month of March. And so beginning February 27th, tickets will go on sale at the Hostess stand for the St. Patrick's Day. It's $29.95. It's a buffet style. Easter is going to be a buffet style as well. But one of the things we're doing a little differently to help the member and help the process is when you purchase your ticket, and we're kind of following, Jason, what you did and what the team did in recreation for events. The layout, the seating arrangement was there, the seating plan. And when you buy a ticket through a recreation event, you would choose your seat. Well, we're going to follow that same methodology in the food and beverage operations. So if you go to the Hostess stand and you say you want to buy 2 tickets for the St. Patrick's Day buffet, they will, at that point, you'll need to select what seat you're going to do. Now we have tables that seat a maximum of 8. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to move the tables together because I have to be able to serve and allow people to walk through these areas. And so you will be able to choose what seats you'd like to purchase. Your seat number will be recorded, and that will be the seat that you would do during the buffet. And so this is a change, and we're going to continue for ticketed events like St. Patrick's Day, Easter. We will do this seating plan and you will choose your seats. One of the things that's been the biggest complaint is when we didn't do that in the past for the ticketed events, people would just rush in and try to get the tables or wouldn't be happy where they're sitting, or they'd go to a table and there was only one chair but their spouse wouldn't be able to sit with them. We're trying to avoid that and make it an easier flow for not only for the customer but for the staff as well. And so again, tickets are on sale February 27th, St. Patrick's Day buffet, $29.95. You'll buy your tickets and you'll do your seat choice at that time. And with that, more information can be found on the website. We're also making sure that the calendar is updated. And one of the things I'm working with Jason Hernan is that you'll be able to use that club calendar. I really want you, the member, to be able to use that. I should be able to go in and click on an item and see the information. And working with Hernan, we're also going to be doing for music on Friday and Saturday. You'll be able to see that hyperlink. You'll click it on the calendar. You go to the calendar Friday. You'll be able to see where the band is playing, what time the band is playing, and what band is playing. That way, again, trying to give you information ahead of time to make your decision if you'd like to see that band or not. But again, this is a change. We're trying to get that information to you and have the members utilize that calendar. Lifestyles is good. The print media is great, but the calendar is the one that gets updated the quickest. If there's a change, if there's a cancellation. We had one band, remember, that the member got sick and they couldn't perform. The calendar is updated and information will be e-blasted out. So again, make sure you take a look at that calendar for not only food and beverage, but for golf, recreation, and admin updates will all be on that calendar as well. Mm-hmm. So Jason, it's election with all that stuff that we're dealing with. We have election, and not only in the master, not only for the delegates, but for the subs as well. So what's happening?
Busy election season. Again, even more so with the delegates this year as well. Delegates are only every 2 years, but this is one of the years where they are involved. So again, busy time. Coming up March is really when things start rolling. March 6th, 4 p.m. in the ballroom, we have our candidates forum. Now this is put on every year by the Delegate Assembly. They they have their own little panel. They have a mediator, timekeeper. This is a great way for you as a homeowner to come out and listen to the candidates if you haven't had a chance already. You can turn in questions. There's a panel there that makes sure that the questions are equal for all candidates. They don't want a question that kind of singles out one candidate or may single out the incumbents over the new candidates. That way, you get an equal form across the board. So again, great thing to come and check out. Usually runs, depending on questions, an hour to 2 hours. So 4 to 6 possibly in the ballroom. Like again, great way that the candidates will have tables out prior. So if you want to stop in and talk to them before it starts, before 4 o'clock, I would say get there about 3:30 and they should have their tables there. Again, that's the start of it. 2 days later, March 8th, the ballots start getting mailed out. And that's for the Master. The Master Association ballots start going out March 8th. Now you have until March 8th, until like Chris spoke earlier, a week prior to the election. So if you don't mail it in by April 3rd, hold on to it. Bring it down April 10th before 9 a.m.
Yes.
Inspectors' elections will be in the ballroom. They'll be set up. If you want to come in at 8 o'clock, come in, hand it to them. They'll be good and they'll mark you off and it will count. So again, if you don't mail it in by April 3rd, hold on to it and bring it in April 10th. Like Chris said too, the subs are doing the same. So sub-elections are going on right now. Ballots have already been mailed out for the subs. Please make sure you fill them out. We've always struggled in the subs to reach quorum. Luckily, some laws have changed this year that will help with that. But again, we want to reach that quorum the first time. So please fill those out, sign them, mail them in. Again, you have until a week prior. Otherwise, hold off until the day of the election. Now, with the subs, the election for Fairway Villas is going to be March 19th. That'll be at 2 p.m. in the multi-purpose room. With Lakeside 2, that's going to be March 28th. Thursday, March 28th, that's going to be at 3:30 p.m. Again, in the multi-purpose room. And Lakeside will be at 1:30 on the 22nd of March. Once again, multi-purpose room. Come in there, drop your form or drop your ballot off if you haven't already mailed it in. Again, with the subs outside of election season, it is winter season and rainy season. So with the subs, if you are having any roof issues, we're having a few of them through the 3 sub-associations. Please call operations. You want to talk to McKenna. Her number is 951-769-6644. And again, that number is listed in the lifestyles. Either give her a call or send her an email. Make sure you get that on the list for as a work order. So it's created, sent over to the vendor. Currently, we have 2 roof vendors that are working on all of our issues that we have. But again, you guys, they can't be out there when it's raining trying to fix the leak. They have to wait until it stops raining. So again, please let us know. We don't know. We can't fix what we don't know. Give us a call. We'll get it on the list. Please be patient with that. Again, you're not the only one, but we do understand sometimes one's more severe than another, and we will work with you and the vendor on trying to move that up the list to get you taken care of sooner. With that, Chris, that's kind of what's going on. Like I said, the election's a big time. Delegates, again, if you haven't turned in, you want to run for a delegate, I think you can still do a write-in. I know we hasn't happened in the past a lot, but we have had that happen.
2 years ago, it did, or
It's happened before. So please, if you want to run and you haven't been able to turn your paperwork in, again, get up a group of people, have you write in, and you can go from there. But it looks like it's going to be an interesting election season.
It will, and also on top of all the projects and everything, we have age verification as a reminder.
That's it.
In the Lifestyles magazine, you will see the form that came out for your age verification form that we are asking all the members to return to us that live in the household, all residents that reside in the community, turn those in. Those forms can also be found at the Recreation Front Desk with Felicia and in the administration office there with Monica and Desiree and Manny. Please fill those out. This is a requirement that we have to do every 2 years to collect this information. And so federal government allows an exemption. I think you'll see if you watch my Coffee with the GM, the federal government allows for an exemption for communities 55 plus. But to get that exemption, they must demonstrate through the collection of these forms that 80% plus that live in the community are 55 years old or older. So it is imperative that you turn those in. We put on their return date of June because we need to get a bulk of these back. Then we'll have the delegates assist us going to house to collect that. Again, what happens if you don't turn it in? There's the potential that we could lose our exemption as a 55 plus community. That would then make Sun Lakes an open all age community. And that is something a lot of members did not buy into this community. So it's imperative that you return those forms. We're asking that everyone who resides in the home completes that form and turns that in, please. What do you got?
Chris, I was going to say, something new with the form this year as well. Is
Yes.
there's
Oh, yes.
a couple little different questions or added questions on there. And what this is to do is really to help us and to help EPAP really find out who's in there. If we can get email addresses, get emergency phone numbers, either opt in or opt out of communications from the association and EPAP. So that's all on the back side of it. Please fill out those extra questions. Please. Like it says, it's asking for your email, asking for an emergency phone, cell phone. What EPAP is looking at doing is being able to SMS or text message as a mass for all the members that we have those numbers listed for that haven't opted out of communication from EPAP. And that way, when EPAP activates, if we do have an emergency or like the fire we had last year, they can send out a blast text to everybody and say, this is what's going on. Please stay tuned for more updates. So this is very important. Thought it was important enough to add to the age verification form to get that. Again, emails, something that we've always lacked. Traditionally or into the past, we've had maybe a quarter up to maybe now 50% or a little more of our association that we have emails for. This right here will really help us up that number and allow communication to be more simple, allow more communication for the residents from the association and again for EPAP. So again, very important to fill out, but look for those new questions on the back.
Perfect. Okay, with that, we've come to the end of our administration update for the month of March. Again, myself, Christopher Mitchell, here with Jason Ewalls. Want to wish you a great day. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.